Welcome back. 2000 Ford Focus 2.0 single overhead cam engine, the SPI. Needs timing belt. So we're due for timing belt. So we're going to do timing belt and water pump on this. Got this off the ground. I've got it off the ground completely, 4 jack stands for me. Basically because I want this as level as possible. We're going to block this motor up to do this belt. We're going to take off this motor mount, get this out of the way, and some of the work will be done through this wheel well, the driver's side, passenger side wheel well. We're going to remove the inner shield, and that's how you get to a lot of stuff in front. But we're just going to start moving stuff out of the way here. This definitely has to come out of the way. There's one connector in the back. I think I had to get a screwdriver to get that out of there. Let me see. See what we're looking at. We're going to set it out of the way. We're going to also drain the antifreeze out of this because we're going to do the water pump. You can do just the belt, but you're in there. I would strongly suggest you do the water pump as well while you're in there. Well, that makes sense. I can see how much time I have left on my camera. I don't know. I don't think I have enough. We'll see. Come on. Fight with this for half an hour first. There we go. One bolt here, 10 millimeter. Let me get that out. I'll just use wobble extension. Okay, so I'll just take this, unclip it from here. Let's see what else I can move around. Just kind of get it out of the way. I'm going to reach down in here. Tensioner is right down here. I'll try to show you that as well. Just going to stick this back in here for now. Okay, let me see. I think it's just a 3/8. Let me see what the tension is on this. Where is it? I'm going to find it. Oh, it's right there. Right in front of me. Yeah. 3/8 drive. Need an adjustment. But first, I think I'm going to take this power steering reservoir, get that out of my way and stick that over here as well. I think there's one 8 millimeter. Is that attached? Just going to get a hold of this. I think it's just clipped on. Trying to see it. Trying to see it. Yeah. I don't know if it's just clipped on or not. I think it's just clipped on here. Yeah, just clipped on. There is a push through here. Okay. A little push through in the back there. I want to just take this. I want to try to weasel that up in here. Get that out of my way as much as possible as well. Okay. Let me go for the idler next, or the tensioner. Let me show you that. Try to show it to you. Let's see what you're looking at. So right here, this is the tensioner pulley, and up here, right here, is the 3/8 square drive. Stick that on a little extension and then release the tension. We're going to take that belt off, get that out of the way. I'm going to block this engine up so it doesn't, because we have to take this motor mount off. I have a jack that has a platform. If you don't, use a jack and a piece of wood. Just prop it up so it can't drop on you. You don't want to drop it down. And then we'll take that motor mount off. I'm going to reach in here, release my tension on the my belt here, my serpentine belt. See if I can get enough of it the way it is. Let's see. Come on. just gotta fight, huh? You just gotta fight. There we go. I'm trying to pin my ratchet here, which I probably just did. Yeah, I did. That's great. Let's pin my ratchet. Alright, my ratchet will stay there until until I get this motor mount loose. Yeah, but can't stay there because it's blocking me from one of my bolts. So that went well. Let me see if I can get this back on enough to get my ratchet out. Yeah, I can. Alright, let me try it without an extension. If I can, I might be able to do it with a flex head. No, let me see if I got a little short. Yeah. I do. A shorter one. Get out of my way. Come on. Let's try that again. Belt loose. Get it off of there. Pin it or not? I still pin it. Man, I'm 0 for 2 right now. Just keep doing it until I get it. My belt's almost off. Not a lot of room to work in, but enough. Got the belt. Okay. So now I've got my engine propped up. 3 15mm bolts. 2 down here, 1 on either side of the mount, 1 up here. I'm going to take them first. I can get on this. Yep. Okay. 3 15mm. Then in my tray. These are 18mm. I did say, I'm just reiterating, I've got the engine blocked up, so it can't drop. It's ported. 18. As I said, I think I already said that. Probably just, no, came right off. There you go. There it is. Come up pretty good. Now, you got 2 bolts up here. There should be 2 that you can't see that are on the top. That's the top cover. And it looks like I've got to unbolt my power steering pump from it. No, it's all one piece. Isn't that interesting? So that's one piece. So we'll see. I don't know if that's going to cause a problem for me or not. We're going to find out. I don't think they're 15s. I think they're smaller. They are smaller. 13 maybe. And then I'll bring in here. It looks like there's 1, 2, at least 2 lower plastic cover to get off of there. Let's just start with these upper ones. Don't stick, if you're doing that, don't jam yourself and get yourself stuck. There's 1. There's 2 hidden ones here. Now I'm not going to be able to get that on there. I know that. Okay. This whole thing should be loose now. I think it's tucked in behind. It is. It's tucked in behind this lower cover. Down in here, this plastic cover, I'll show you that. I believe I have three 8mm bolts, or 2 bolts and a nut or something. So you see that lower cover, there's a bolt here, there's one down here, and then there's one up here. Those 3 covers, I think, I'm not sure if this one in this bottom corner here, this is the crank sensor. It may be part of that as well. I think that's not a bolt. I don't think that's, yes it is. So we're gonna take them out. We can get to them, and then we're gonna see. We'll see what happens. Let's just do that first, and then we'll go down to the bottom there and see if we can get that one. That one's gonna be it's the hardest just to get my hand into, honestly. And I think this will come off again. Yeah, there we go. Gonna have to figure out how to get that out of the way, honestly. We'll do it somehow. It's gonna be out of the way. Clip here for this hose. Get that undone. Get that loose. We are going to have to drain, as I said before, the coolant out of this. I'm just going to try to set this. No, I'm just setting that up out of the way. That's all I need to get. That's as far as I need to get it out of the way. I just need to get it out of the way. This, I've got 1 bolt in the bottom, which I've got to get to. Trying to drop it. There we go. They're all the same size too, the same length. Now, let's hold this in. Now, just lift it up. There it is. There's the cover. I'm going to show you. Just talk to you a little bit about this. So, if you see this little nub right here, right? Let me see so I can see what you're seeing. Right there, there's a little pointer, and up top, if you look back, there's a dot in there. You see that dot? When we get this lined up, we're going to line that up with that dot up top, and we're going to line the bottom up at the same time. So I think we are pretty much done up here. Not going to take the belt off. We want to line it up and get the timing right, get the timing marks lined up, then we can take the belt off. So we'll get our serpentine belt the rest of the way off here. There's not a lot of room between the crank and the frame down there. I'm just going to move it out of the way and leave it for now. I think it'll be easier to move it out of there after I get the crank pulley out. So I'm going to go down to the wheel well, pull the wheel off, and I'll show you, and we'll go through the wheel well and get the rest of this taken apart. We want to get in here. This is blocking us, so we're going to take this inner liner off of here to get at the crank and the crankshaft pulley and the bolt, which is behind that. I don't know exactly what has to come off for that, but we're going to figure it out, take it apart. So there's the cover, which goes up, covers up the bottom 2 pulleys, the AC compressor and the crankshaft. 2 bolts, one here and one up front there. Goes up in here. Just undid them, 10mm, set it aside. I don't believe you need to take this off. You can look up in there, try to get you some decent light and see there's the crankshaft pulley and the bolt. I'm going to undo that. Then I'm going to put that bolt back in, and we're going to use that to turn the engine over and line the timing marks up before we take everything apart. I have just enough room at the height of the engine, I believe, to get this on there. If you don't, you can let your jack down just slightly and lower the engine down, you know, not much. 1/8 of an inch here if I needed to. And then I'm going to zip this off with a gun. Make sure we're in reverse here. Come on. Really? Get that out of there. It's not a Honda. It's not hard to get out of there. 19mm. Now I should be able to wiggle that off. Now there's a keyway. You can see where this keyway is. There's a key in there. If that comes loose, you don't want to lose that. So just want to reach in here and try to do this without. It's pretty stinking tight too. This should wiggle off of here without too much problem. Open it once it gets moving here. Yeah, there it goes. Just kind of got it moving and then just going to wiggle it off of here. Don't wail on it. You don't want to break it. So I just got a, you can't see this, but what I did was I got a couple screwdrivers down behind this wheel and just there's a couple spots on the timing cover you can push a little bit, not a lot. Probably can't see a stinking thing that I'm doing, so I'm blocking you, but I got it between the wheel and the timing cover. Don't crank on it, you'll break stuff. It should just break loose and come off of there. Key's still in there. It looks like key's actually lines up with this. It wasn't actually a key. It's yeah, my key's still in there. See that key right there? Still in there. All right, I'm gonna put my bolt back in so I can turn the engine over now and line up my timing marks. I'll try to show you that. Not a lot of space here. I could drop my engine down, but I don't want to drop my engine down. I haven't had to move it. All right, so I've got my bolt back in there, but hopefully you can see at the top of that wheel, there's a little nub that sticks out right at the top. I don't know what you're saying here. Let me see if I can zoom you in some. Oh, you can't see that. Let me go up top and show you. So hopefully you can see that right behind my light there. I'm blocking you. There's a little nub that sticks out from the circle, from the outside of the gear. It sticks up. It's raised. It's right there on my finger pointing to it. Right there, raised up. That has to be lined up with that nut mark there. And then up top, I've got my notch here, or my protrusion, whatever you want to call it, lined up with the hole that's in the block. I'm trying to show it to you. Kind of hard to see it. That's in time. That's where I want it to be before I take the belt off. So that's where I'm going to leave it. We're going to take the, we're going to do the tensioner next and get that out of the way. This guy should be, I got to clean it, but should be an 8mm hex to loosen that and undo the belt. I just want to be clear on this so you can see. I marked the top of that gear right there. You can see that little white mark. That's a little protrusion that sticks out, and right on stamped into the front of the gear says front, basically. Let me see if I can show it to you from underneath here. You see on the bottom there's a little triangle that's stamped in. That's not the timing mark. It's the little notch up the top. I'm trying to, let me put my light back up here. Whoa. Right up top, you see how that sticks up? That's your timing mark. I marked it with white just to make it easier to see, and it says front on the gear, front of the gear. So they're all lined up. Top's lined up. Bottom's lined up. Now we can take the belt off. You can see I've got an 8mm Allen wrench in that tensioner. I'm going to release the tension. Here. Turn that counterclockwise. This belt's really bad. You can see it now. Kind of slide that off. I'll show it to you, and then just release it. Okay. Pull this belt off of here. Don't turn your crank or your cam pulley at this point, but hopefully you can see this is dry rot. It's cracked. There you can see it. Let me see. I don't know what you're looking at. Maybe I can look at it when I'm showing it to you. You see that crack in it? Hopefully you can see that crack, and it's pretty bad. I could actually feel it starting to act up, and I haven't owned this car for that long, and I didn't know whether or not it had been done. I have the records for this car, and I did not see any records. They were pretty good about keeping records of the time about being done, and it was overdue, and I could start to feel it driving. They could get on it a little bit. I mean, as powerful as this car is, yeah, not. But when you got on it a little bit, you could actually feel it kind of surge, and that's the slack in the belt and the slop. So it was due before it breaks. It's not an interference engine, but you don't want to break it on the road. All right, so let's remove this tensioner pulley. I think that's 10mm. Let's take a look. See what we got. Break that loose. I believe there's a new bolt with the new tensioner. Replace the tensioner. Get the kit and replace the tensioner. Don't go try to be cheap. You're just asking for trouble. Okay. Now there's a flat portion to this. Right here. That sits down the bottom. On top of that little tab down there, there's a tab that sticks out. Right here. Right here. So you can see that flat part. That sits down facing the bottom. Alright, so here's the water pump. Couple bolts. I think there's 4. Maybe 1, 2, 3, 4. I think I'll show you the new one. I highly recommend you're in here doing the belt, do the water pump. You got all this stuff apart. Don't mess. You're just asking for trouble. It's not that expensive really at all. So I'm going to drain this engine, and then we'll come back and we'll drain the coolant out of this engine. We'll come back and we'll pull that pump. See if I can undo these clamps off this water pump from over here. There we go. Everybody's off. Boy, this was overdue for an antifreeze change. Tell we're looking at it. Alright, so now 4 bolts. I think 13 millimeter? Yeah, 13. And the same length. Beautiful. Alright, that should be it for that. Yeah. Well, I'm sure I missed my pan, but that water is nasty looking. That's it. Now it's just cleaning time. I'm going to come in here, clean this off, dry it up, get the rest of the gasket off. It's got to be clean. There's no way around it. Don't make it somewhat clean if you want it not to leak, and you don't want this to leak. It's got to be clean. So I'm going to come in here with a razor blade and brake clean and scrape that off, scrape it down, clean it, and then we'll come back to put the new one in place.